sync with each other. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Which side you want to be on?
Um, Maybe this time. What do you think?
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, it's recording already?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back and edit it and everything.
Okay.
You ready? 3, 2, 1. Yo, you know what it is.
Smitty did it, nigga.
You can't tell like it's can't see the book. So you can see it. Just enough that like you can see it. Yo, y'all know what it is. The one and only Moody Wuz Here. Yes, man, we in the building, man. We a little late, but you know, we always a little late when you on Moody time, but that's the only time that matters in this world for sure, man. I want to definitely thank everybody for coming out in the building, everybody tuning in, everybody that's here in my living room. Make sure you took your shoes off, but you didn't. I'm just kidding. Y'all, everybody all good. Everybody all good. Man, we got a special guest in the building tonight, man. Like I said, I've been waiting on this one for a little bit. I'm not gonna call her out right now. I'm not gonna say that. I would say that she hard to get a hold of. She might be top 3 worst text person to text back of all time. But you know, we're not gonna talk about that right now by any means. That's not something I'm gonna do because I'm not one to shade anybody by any means. Like I said, man, we in the building. Moody Wuz Here, the #1 podcast in the universe, in the metaverse, whenever that thing come out, whatever that is, whatever Elon Musk got in store for us. But you know what it is, man. So right now, before we get started, DJ King Vic, you already know what I need to get this intro going, to get this energy pumping, to get this thing going like I need it to be. Give me my intro music real quick. We got Cash in the building too. He always get me right. That's what I'm talking about. And now, once again in the building. Hold up. Yo, man, this is the first time we got a guest here from Memphis, man. So we finna make sure we do this right, Memphis, man. Vic, give me something that's gonna get this thing started. Yeah. Y'all know what it is. It's Moody Wuz Here. Let's get this thing started, man. In the building, we got the one and only. We got from 901 Whitening Bar. She gonna make you smile, and she gonna get that smile white. You one and only, the one and only, the one and only from the 901 West Memphis, Christy Lea. Yeah. Don't get me started. Get me started. Christy.
Turn me up.
I'm gonna turn you up now. I'm gonna gas you up, and I'm gonna put 93 in you. I ain't gonna put that cheap 87. Even though we appreciate the 87. It's about $3.32 right now, so we're much appreciative. Biden, whoever controls these gas prices, we can work with you, boy. We got too much other stuff to be worried about. But dog, Christy, man, I appreciate you coming out here tonight, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, yo. I've been looking forward to it for the last 2-3 weeks or so. Like I said, getting this all planned out. But man, I'm just pumped about it. The first question I always ask:
Let's go.
are you happy?
I'm very happy.
Ooh, let's make some noise for that right there, man. Let's make some noise for that. Happy people. Oh, never mind. We don't want to say. Can't say. Can't say.
Oh.
We're not gonna say his name.
We're not going to go there.
But I'm glad, like I said, you're happy. Like I said, one of the things I always ask people, because like I said, for myself, one of the biggest things that I struggled with was kind of defining when I was happy. I would say I was happy, and some days I wasn't. I would say I wasn't happy, but I still wasn't quite sure. How do you know that you are happy?
I think for me, so backing up to what you just said, is that some days you didn't know if you were happy. I think knowing when I wasn't happy. Like I've been in such a low place where I'm moving and I'm functioning, but deep down inside, I feel numb, I feel low, I feel depressed, just low energy, fatigue, all of that, no joy.
I feel that.
And now I can say, after, and we'll get into depth with just, what life has been like. But I feel like today, sitting here, that I am genuinely in a place where I can say, like, I'm happy and I feel good and I feel peace and I feel joy. And my joy is not contingent upon my circumstances.
And that's big right there. That's super dope. Because like I said, one of the things that a lot of people do definitely struggle with is like you use the perfect word, it's contingent. Like I said, it has like a contingent on whoever's in their life or what kind of job they may have. Or like I said, whoever's fooling with them or not fooling with them at a certain time or whatnot. So just being able to get in a place to where you're able to be happy and just happy, that's definitely something
whether
that's
I'm
dope.
up, down, whether things are going right, things are not, like, I'm good.
So how long have you always been like that, or was there some type of transitional period that got you to that point?
Honestly, no. I don't feel like I've always been like that. I think I probably have been more focused in the last couple of years of just getting in tune with myself, finding like Christy, like who is Christy? Who is Christy outside of how everyone else perceives me to be? Like, who am I? What do I like? What do I love? What fills me up? What makes me feel good? And so, no, I don't feel like I have always been like that, because I don't feel like I've always chosen to put my happiness before everybody else's.
I got you. And that's one of those things, like I said, we all end up having a certain type of identity, especially when it comes like into the public eye. And one of the biggest things I know for is me, just on the outside looking in at your life, is that you are always someone who was firm in their faith. Like I said, no matter whatever on your Facebook page, I can always count on Christy to give me some of that good old Jesus in me real quick if I needed to. So, like right now, like I said, I know we'll get into your story a little bit more in depth. But where are you at right now in your faith?
So I feel like probably more than ever, I've been on more of like a personal journey with God, like figuring out, knowing Him for myself, having a relationship for myself, not just going by based on what I've been taught or what I've heard, but truly connecting with my faith, my prayer life, and just building my personal relationship. I've always been strong in faith, but I don't know if I've always just had just the relationship that I feel like I'm building with God now.
Is that something that you actively at some point start seeking, just that relationship with God? Was there something that pinpointed that, just that navigated, start pushing in that direction?
Yeah, so do we want to like go
We
that
can,
way?
we can definitely go ahead and get it. Like I said, I know a little bit. For those who don't know, like I said, I know a little bit about Christy's story. Her son passed away. It was 5 years.
It's been 5 years.
5 years, like I said, 5 years ago. At the age of, tell me again, was it?
He was 9.
9. That's what I thought. So that was one of those things that obviously, like I said, I have been keeping up with you. I've known you for, like I said, a while, and so I saw that period. I saw it happen and everything. So. Like you said, I know that's one of those reasons that you said you started seeking that relationship with God. So just kind of tell us, let's just go. We'll come back to that a little bit. Like I said, or you can work it into as you please. Like I said, we got no script. We do how we do. We talk how we talk up in here. So just kind of tell me a little bit how that happened in regards to your son. Like I said, he was, passed at such an early age. And was it expected, unexpected? Kind of like, what was that look like?
No, it was very unexpected. If somebody would have asked me, did you think that your baby would not be here, or you would have to be figuring out life without him being present, I would have been like, no. Like, I always saw myself like growing through life with my baby. And so just a little background on the story. At 7 years old, he passed out at school.
Braelyn.
Braelyn, my baby, my sweet Braelyn. He passed out at school. We took him to the hospital, Le Bonheur, in Memphis, Tennessee. Originally, he was diagnosed with a seizure disorder. They thought that it was an onset condition of seizures. He was misdiagnosed. Then we were told to follow up with cardiology. And then we found out that he had extremely high pressures on the right side of his heart. So at 7 years old, he became a heart and lung patient. And life our whole life then revolved around doctor's appointments, therapies, medications. He was on medication probably like every 3 hours. By the time he turned 9 years old, he was probably on about 5 or 6 medications just to keep his heart and lungs functioning properly. And so you see my relationship with my son, despite the ailments, the illnesses that he was going through, he was like, you would look at him and you wouldn't even think that he was dealing with all that he was.
Big smile.
Exactly.
Big smile.
So full of joy, like all the time. And so even with that diagnosis, the prognosis was still hopeful. Like doctors, I was never informed that, he's only gonna, his life expectancy was gonna be cut short.
Gotcha.
So he had like 3 heart calves in 2017, June 2017. He would go through these phases of where he was on oxygen, and it got to where as he was growing, I guess his heart wasn't able to keep up with his growth.
Gotcha.
And he would have these episodes, like he would pass out and it would present as a seizure. It would last like maybe 30 seconds and he would always come out of it. But June 14th, 2017, woke up that day. We had the best day together. We actually ended up going that morning to explore a farm. We went on a little field trip. We had the best day together. Like we went and ate lunch, like everything was going fine. That evening I noticed he had a little cough. I even called his doctor's office and I told them like, hey, Braelyn's coughing. Like, is there something that I could do for him? They recommended something, went to Walgreens, did that. And about 9-something that night, he ended up passing out. I gave him a bath. He was fine. We were sitting in we was at my parents' house. We were in the den. He had just got himself dressed, his pajamas on. He was sitting on the edge of the couch. And, as a parent, you just have an instinct, like something's not right. Mm-hmm. So I looked over at him and he was sitting on the edge of the couch. And I was like, Braelyn, are you okay? And he walked over to me and he reached up for me to pick him up. And I was like, what is going on? And so he ended up pointing to his bottom. Mm-hmm. In my mind, when people's bodies are shutting down, they may very well, mm-hmm. digestion and all of that. Right. I was not thinking like this is what's happening. His body is shutting down. So I took him to the bathroom at my parents' house, sat him on the toilet, and it's been so long since I talked about this.
Yeah, no, you good. Take your time. Definitely. No, I feel that. Most definitely.
So I set him on the toilet and he got teary, and anytime he would have like that seizure like episode, he would get like this frantic look on his face. Mm-hmm. He did that. So I knew he was getting ready to pass out.
Gotcha.
And so he literally looked at me and he was like, I love you, mama. That was like the last thing he said, and like he started to like go back. And so he went back in my arms. Right. And of course, me being in healthcare, like I'm knowledgeable about CPR and all of that. Right. Like the first time I ever had to do the Heimlich maneuver was on my baby. He choked on a grape. I did that. But it was something about when he went back in my arms that night, and I looked down at him and I was like, this time it's different. Right. So I ran with him to the bedroom. At the time he was on oxygen. I was screaming for my dad to turn on the oxygen unit. And of course, in that moment, as a parent, you're gonna try to do everything that you can possibly do to prevent it. And so I did that. I started doing CPR on him. I could see his lips turning blue and everything. And my parents had called the ambulance, and so like I knew that this is not looking good. And so the paramedics got there. They ran in. They were going to break out the defibrillator, but then they scooped him up and ran off with him. And I knew when they did not let me on the ambulance that, okay, this is
something real. Like I said.
Right. And so I jumped in a car. My parents drove me. We were headed to Le Bonheur. And of course, it was just like an outer body experience. I just remember like my parents driving, and I was in the back seat, and I was just praying. And I'm like, God, please, like, don't let my baby go. Like, let him be alive when I get there. And so my parents was like driving. They didn't even pull into the parking lot of Le Bonheur. Good. I jumped out the back of the car, like full speed running into the hospital. And I'm like, where's my baby? He stopped breathing. I got to get to him. I'm screaming. They let me back there. And of course, they took you to the little room, room.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, this is still not, I was still numb to what's like, this can't be. So the doctor called me down there, and I could see where they were in that first little room, and they were working on him, trying to do resuscitation and all of that. And the doctor was like, Miss Tucker, they was like, it's not looking good, but we're going to keep trying until you tell us to stop. He said, until you tell us enough. And I'm just staring in the doctor's eyes, and I'm like, I shook my head, yes, that I understood him. And he walked away. And it was like, as soon as he walked away, I felt like he wasn't even out my face maybe 2 seconds. And I heard him say, time of death, 1026. And in that moment, I was crushed. Like, like, my only child? Like, this can't be happening. Like, me? Like, no, this cannot be happening. And so I just remember taking off running full speed down the hall. And I'm literally feeling like everything, the whole room is closing in on me. And I just collapsed on the floor. And me and my son had never been apart. If you saw him, you saw me.
No, most definitely. That's the thing. I didn't know who Facebook page I was following at some point.
I know. And so I was devastated.
No, I can know.
I sat there for those last few moments with him, and I just remember holding him. And something that was so beautiful is I raised my son in church. We always had strong faith. And I remember 3 days before my son passed away. If you know him, he always loved to sing and worship and all of that. Definitely. And 3 days before that event happened, we were in Walmart, and I was pushing him in a cart, and he ended up, I remember him singing these words, and he was like, I'm in heaven with Jesus. Me and my mama are in heaven with Jesus. My mama, she's always in my heart. And I just remember stopping in my tracks. And I was like, I said, Braelyn, where'd you get that from? And he looked at me with the biggest smile on his face. And you know how they say when like people get ready to pass and transition, I've always heard like they know. And
they're always joyful.
Yes. And he looked back at me with the biggest smile, and he was like, Mama, I made it up. And for like the next 3 days, no lie, he was singing those words. But it never dawned on me until I got in the ER with him, and I was holding his body. And the first thing I did, I looked at my parents and I said, he knew. And I felt like he was trying to tell me. In my mind, I always look back and I said, he was so happy when he was singing those words. Like, I don't think he wanted to leave me, but he wasn't afraid of where he was going. And that has given me so much peace and so much comfort, because I'm like, God, even in the worst season of my life, like you were so mindful of me that you would begin preparing me through my son's voice.
I love it. I love it.
You know,
I love
and
it.
that's how I put that perspective together. But life hits.
It definitely is. Like I said, and that's a tough story. Like I said, I already know it. Like I said, that's my first time obviously hearing it as well. Because like I had always was kind of under the assumption that it was something he had been struggling with like his entire life or something to that point.
No, just a couple of years.
Yeah, see, so that's what I'm saying. That's why, like, even me, I thought like it was something he'd been struggling with, and it just finally that was just when it came down to. So obviously, like I said, that happens. What does day one, the next day look like?
Ooh.
You know?
Well, I think the hardest thing looking back is, me and my son had never been apart.
Right.
So to have to walk away from the hospital, like I was hanging onto the door frame. Like I cannot leave him here. And I think when I left, I was so exhausted. When I went home, I did sleep. But I think, like I said, I was so exhausted from that moment that I just fell into a deep sleep. But when I woke up the next day and it hit me, my son's not in his house. That day, like distraught.
No,
Literally ran, because I was at my parents' house, literally ran around the house screaming and yelling for him. I'm like, I got to go be with my baby. I don't want to be here. Like, it literally took my family to keep me in the house because in my mind, I'm like, I don't care if I got to walk, drive, jump, skip.
right.
I'm about to go back to this hospital. I'm about to be with my baby. He's never been without me. He needs me. It was devastating.
No, most definitely. Like I said, I can understand. Like I said, that first day without, but somebody, like I said, especially a son.
Yeah.
Like I said, just being without someone who has been there in your entire life. Like I said,
Yeah.
literally from day one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments that I know you had to, like you said, start figuring out ways to like pick yourself together. You know what I'm saying? I can imagine the hysterical state that you in at that moment.
Yeah.
What was something that I guess start getting you back to a point to where you didn't feel like you needed to go be by his side?
So it took a little minute.
Oh, yeah.
Probably for those first 3 days, it was like I fell into a low place, like suicidal place.
Gotcha.
Probably could not be, it wasn't safe for me to be by myself.
And you were with your parents the whole time?
I was at my parents' house.
Gotcha.
Yes, I had moved out my apartment. I was at my parents' house.
How did they deal with that? Like I said, I mean, I remember, like I said, just one, like I said, at that point, that's their grandson.
Right.
So, they're having to grieve and support at the same time. So kind of like,
and
what
that
did
was
they look
difficult
like?
for them because I feel like in that moment they had to be strong for me. Like you just said,
Right.
as a parent, they had to be there for me. So especially with my mom, like I think it kind of hit them on the back end because they had to step up and handle all the hard stuff for me, like funeral arrangements and stuff that I'm just like, I can't, like, no. So it took a minute. I will say, like, at the time, of course I was still very strong in faith. Like I had my church community. What was crazy is my son passed away on a Wednesday, and like I think the next time that the doors opened of my church, it was like that Monday, and I was like, I got to get to church. I have to be around a body of believers because at that point I'm like, I can't pray for I can't do nothing.
Right.
Like I needed to be in a worship atmosphere, high atmosphere around people that can pray for me, that can pour into me, that can encourage me. And one of the things I always say, like, I'm thankful for even friendships because, having people that was connected to me spiritually. I'll be honest, like that second day, that I was battling in my thoughts bad. Like I was literally contemplating suicide, just overdosing. You know, I did not want to be here. I was like, man, I want to be with my son. I don't know what life is like. I don't remember what life was like before him. And at the time, it's like, I didn't even see like a way out of that. Like I didn't even see like, how can life get better after this? You know? And so I remember being like that second day, being in my mom had left to go handle some stuff. My dad was outside, and I was literally in my parents' bedroom, sitting in their bed, and I knew like all my son's heart and lung medication was out there on the microwave. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I'm like, if I just walk out into this kitchen, it can just be over. I won't feel this pain. I won't hurt like this. But I remember saying, like, before I left the hospital with my son, one of the last things I said to him when I was holding his body, I was like crying, and I'm like, Braelyn, I don't know. Like, this hurts. This hurts so bad. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But I remember saying to him, but I'm going to figure it out. Like, I'm going to live. I'm going to figure out how to live. So in that moment of being in my parents' bedroom, I'm fighting. One part is me is like, clock out of here. Go.
Right.
Like, go. Go be with your baby.
No, I get that.
The other side was like, remember what you promised your baby. You told him you was going to live. Yeah, it hurts, but you said that you was going to figure it out. Don't let your son down. Don't do that. Don't transfer that pain onto your family member. Now they grieving their grandchild. Now they got to grieve. Like, don't do that.
I got you.
You know, and so, but in that moment, it hurt too much. And so I literally got out the bed, and I was walking down the hall, and I was headed to the kitchen to get the medication. And I hear one of my friends walk through the door, and I hear her say to my dad, "Where's Christy?" And literally, I was in the hall, like I was headed to the kitchen. And she walks in, and she grabs my face. By that point, I'm just numb. And she's like, you know, I'm picking you up in the spirit. And I know what you're thinking. And she just started praying for me in that moment. And in that moment, like, I was on the floor crying, like throwing up, like that whole, you know, it's just like of suicide. That thing was so heavy on me and so deeply embedded in me that I was like,
I already know. Like I said, that suicide, once it gets to a certain point in your mind, it comes like so physically into you that you like, it's not even explainable like how it has such a grip on you. Like you can feel your body like just deteriorate, and then you just like, let's just beat this shit up, you know what I'm saying? Basically, like get it over with. So
let's just get it over with. And that was my mindset that day. Like, my dad's outside, my mom's gone. Let's just get it over with. I'm about to clock out. Like, yeah.
Most definitely. You know what? We're going to take a quick break right now. Ooh, my voice is cracking right now. Oh, my gosh. She got me choked up over here.
Heavy,
but we're going to take a quick break. Moody Wuz Here.
Yo, you know what it is? The boy Moody Wuz Here, and yes, I am here in Memphis, Tennessee, D901, and today I'm at 901 Whitening with the owner, Christy Lea, and she gonna get my smile right now, because I'm a little busted and disgusted, but, you know, she gonna switch that up here in just a minute. Christy, can you kind of tell me what I can expect today?
Yes, so today he's gonna be getting a double cosmetic whitening treatment. We're gonna whiten and brighten his smile, gonna take it up a notch. He already has a major smile, but we're gonna make it more brighter, wider.
I like to hear right there. I'm trying to get a little brighter, a little wider, so we're gonna get this thing jumping here in just a second. So y'all stay tuned and check me out. Yeah, y'all see what it is? The boy looking good, the boy looking good, the boy looking good. I got the smile to match the dimples now. Christy done hooked me up, man. Appreciate that so much, Christy. Oh my God, gas me up. Don't gas me up. No, you can gas me up. You can gas me up. Man, y'all make sure y'all go and follow her. Love Christy Lea on all social medias and also 901 Whitening Bar. Make sure y'all do that. Get your smile right, because don't be out here lacking with the smile if you ain't out here lacking already. Y'all be good. Moody Wuz Here. We'll see y'all next time. Hey, good job. I told you it's easy.
So without further ado, man, I'm gonna bring up the boy Antonio Cans. Get a boy a round of applause, man.
Damn, son, where'd you get this fever? Burning up to the touch. Damn, son, where'd you get this fever? Step back. Step back. When I walked in your house,
y'all know what it is. Moody Wuz Here, man. I'm back, man. I got a little choked up. I don't know what it was, but that voice was done for. We had to get up out of here real quick, but man, let's jump back into it real quick. Like I said, Christy, man, definitely want to thank you for just like taking that time right there, just to like get in depth with that day. I know that was a tough day to revisit and everything, but like I said, man, I know your testimony, your story is gonna help so many people, and I'm glad that you were able to like be just the best in telling that story in the best way you could, and also just being so transparent and vulnerable in that moment. So I appreciate you so much for that. Like we started the show in the beginning, we also said like this for us, like that relationship with God. Yeah. And up until this point, as I'm listening to you, you seem God's still there. He gets so there so far. You know what I mean?
He's always
there. He's always there.
Yeah.
It's a little creepy, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, man, why is this dude always there all the time?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, so much other stuff to do in the world.
Yeah,
I'm like, go make another Earth. Do something productive than watching me all the time. But he's always there. Definitely, we all definitely grateful for him and everything. So. But like I said, like I said, at some point you did turn over the switch to where you wanted to seek more into your relationship with God. Was there ever a disconnect during this period? Like I said, was there ever some questioning? Like, kind of where did at some point, did you stop surrounding yourself around these believers? Did that boat get rocky?
Yeah. So let's get real for real. It was absolutely a disconnect because yes.
He wasn't on the main line no more.
Oh, and I don't, honestly, he was there, but I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm mad at you.
I feel like.
So let's get all the way real.
I'm with it. Let's do it.
So, yes, there was absolutely a disconnect. I think initially, I was like, yeah, my faith, like, okay, God, like, yeah, this happened, but I'm still so full of faith. I'm still so full of hope. Like, I'm trucking along. I was doing good. And, other things in my life transpired too. And like from 2017 to probably 2020, I was like, God, where are you?
Because when it rains, it pours every time.
Because why does it feel like I've been dealt the worst deck of cards ever in life? Mm-hmm. Why does it feel like that I'm going through one thing after another? When I take 10 steps forward, I'm getting knocked 15 steps backwards. Mm-hmm. And for somebody that was like very strong in faith, when my son was going through his sickness and everything, like it literally got to the point that I was like, God, I was believing without doubt that my son was going to be healed. Like I was praying, I was fasting, I was quoting scriptures. I had like everything. I was trying my best, right. not perfect, but trying my best to live an upright life. Right. And you mean to tell me, I loved my baby. You mean to tell me you had to take mine?
Right.
It's people out here that don't even like want their kids. Like
Word.
Me,
Word.
I got to go through this.
Word.
I was angry, very angry, very confused, and honestly, initially, and this is something that, like we can go here. I think sometimes just in faith and, church, I think sometimes me and my sister, we talk about this a lot, how we can over spiritualize things. I was like, okay, like, God allowed it to happen and, but just having all this hope and stuff. But the reality was like, no, this hurt. I'm mad. And you know how you always hear like, don't question God and, right. Whatever, I'm like, nah, I got questions. Like, I want to know why. Right. And I felt like I wasn't getting the answer. And I felt like I went through this phase of like, I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to talk to God because I felt like when I was doing all that, it didn't work.
Right.
It wasn't working. Like I've heard about miracles, signs and wonders and people being raised from the dead and all this kind of stuff, but it didn't work. So that I had to get to a real honest place within myself, because I think initially I probably was still very numb and probably very much in denial. Like grief, you have phases. Like you go through the denial, you go through the anger, you go through the sadness. The ultimate goal is to get to that place of acceptance. I struggled with getting to. I think initially I accepted it what had happened, but I think from a very over spiritualized place. Gotcha. And then I had to really go back and be like, nah. And I think initially, like I said, I think I was just numb and probably still like in very much shocked of what had transpired. And so it took me being honest with myself, like, nah, this hurts. Nah, like I'm mad, and like I said, I went through this phase of I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to talk to God. I didn't want to, I still I was still going to church and stuff, everything like that. But like, I'm hearing of other people's, surviving things and stuff like that. And so that messed with me, but then I had to get to a place of being honest with myself. Like, okay, God, if I really knew, if you really gave me the answer and why my son had to transition at 9 years old, if I really knew the why, would I even really be satisfied with that? And for me, the answer was no. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been satisfied even knowing. So I think it forced me to kind of get into a place of peace within myself that this hurt, it happened, and now I'm just gonna have to pick up the pieces and
keep it moving.
Yeah,
I feel that. I mean, something just came in my mind. Whenever I have these certain conversations, certain people always pop in my head.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I always think about my dad.
Yeah.
His lack of presence in my life and everything.
Yeah.
And like I was during this period that I was going through a suicidal state, and I was mad, depressed, and everything. Like he knew it, but even still, he still didn't step up to the plate as I wanted him to. And like I said, as far as I've always known you, I've always known just you and Braelyn. Like, where was or is his father in this whole story?
Okay, so that's something that, I'll be honest, I've always probably been, private about certain aspects of my life. Most definitely. Nobody really kind of even knew who my son's father was. He actually didn't live here. He lived in Louisiana. Okay. To this day, we don't have any contact. Gotcha. But I was probably the epitome of a single mom. We were in a relationship at the time that I got pregnant. Of course, I got pregnant at 24. And I feel good to talk about this because I've never actually talked about my son's father. So thank you for asking me this. And I feel happy to have the liberation to even be able to. Like you opening up a can of worms right now. Let's go. So so he was from Louisiana. Gotcha. When I found out I was pregnant, it was like, I'll be there for you. Everything's we're gonna be white picket fence family and all this kind of stuff. Honestly, I was like devastated when I found out I was pregnant. I was very in shock, like, dang, I'm 24, I'm pregnant. But I came to terms with it. It was like, I'm going to be there for you and all of that. But then I actually ended up having my son early. I had him 3 months early. Oh. He spent the first 6.5 months of his life there in the hospital. During that time, his father never came. And so I very much experienced abandonment in that. And, my life as a single mom started. Never denied my son, knew my son was his and all of that, but he just did not step up actively to be a present father. And so my son was 14 months when he saw his dad, and then he went he saw him again at like 21 months, and then he went almost 6 years without seeing my son. Gotcha. Assisted financially. Right. It wasn't without me having to ask or anything like that, but he assisted financially. But during that time, I will say this, although he wasn't actively involved in my son's life, I was the type of parent, I would never paint a bad picture of his father Gotcha. To my son. So I always kept the communication open. My whole thing is it's one thing to disappoint me, but it's another whole thing to disappoint my son, our child. Right. So either you're going to be all the way in, but if you're going to be inconsistent, I don't want to deal with the emotions that's going to become with you being an inconsistent, absentee father. Right. And so he stayed away. He didn't see Braelyn for almost 6 years. And then when Braelyn was diagnosed with the sickness, so initially when they thought it was seizures, they put him on medication, seizure medications. One of the side effects of seizure medications is it's like a antidepressant, like it messes with your mood and stuff like that. So at 7 years old, Braelyn, my joyful, happy, social baby, he was very much turning, it's almost like he was going through depression, and he would say things to me. He started saying things about his dad, and he would say Mommy, he didn't remember being 14 months and 21 months and me seeing his dad. And so he would be like, Mommy, I never met my dad before, and that hurts my feelings. Or he would say Mommy, did I hurt my daddy's feelings? So as a parent, that was devastating, because I'm like, I got to clean up this. I'm seeing the emotional toll that it's taking on my son, and now I will also say this. I also, I'm not going to be a victim in the city. I put myself, I laid down, I made that bed. That's who I chose to have so we can go through. I don't think I have to give that disclaimer, but he was very and so when I called his dad to discuss this is what's going on, you might want to come see him. And so he did. He came to see him. Braelyn was 7. And then, he did very good with keeping communication, but then it was he just disappeared again. Gotcha. And so going back to the day that my son passed away, I had to call him. Actually, my parents called him to inform him that Braelyn had passed. And so I'm going to say this because this was where some anger came in too. He was, of course, shocked. He showed emotion. But it was in my mind, we couldn't possibly share the same pain. Right, yeah. Your pain is from a place of guilt, because I remember him saying to me man, I know I didn't bond with him the way I should have, and this and this. And I'm like, how is it that the whole world can see your son, see your baby, and they adore him? He's just a beautiful child. And then now he's gone, and you feel guilty because you didn't bond with him the way you missed out on all this time. And so get to the funeral, my son's homegoing service, and he had told me he was going to be coming. Yeah. And what a lot of people don't know, and I've actually never said this publicly, he didn't show up that day. So, yeah. So you can imagine, not only did I bring my son into the world and I experienced that by myself, but now you mean to tell me I have to stand here and I have to walk out into this congregation and I have to lay my son to rest by myself. So, but and so we didn't, there was no communication after that. Probably a year later, he contacted me.
Okay, that's what I was just about to ask.
Okay. So eventually, maybe a year or so later, he contacted me to apologize. And we had a conversation. I forgave him. I think it's more so of course, when we talk about forgiveness, that's more based on, me. Word. Than it was him. Word. Freeing myself from, so I'm not Word. Harboring that resentment and anger and all. So I did forgive him. But at that point, it's I forgive you, but now there's nothing connecting us together. We don't have to continue to be in communication. Gotcha. There's no need for reconciliation.
But do you feel if there ever came a point, I said, I know, just for you being, strong in your faith, just a good person at heart, there's going to be, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, one day it's going to really hit him and set in, and he's going to need some type of closure. And obviously he's going to probably seek it as much as the way he can. He's going to probably want to maybe reach out to you and, tell me stories about him and tell me, can I get these pictures of him and everything like that. Do you feel you would be in a place that if that day comes to where he's overload when it comes to he wants to know everything about Braelyn, that you can be that support and offer that be that resource for them.
So if you probably would have asked me this, like, and to be honest, if you would have asked me like 3-4 years ago, I probably would have been like, nah. Because even the conversation when he eventually did contact me, that was a conversation of closure. You know, but I would to the best of my ability. Yeah. But I don't think that's a conversation I would force. You know,
and you shouldn't. I mean, that wouldn't be something that you should force. Like, I mean, at least in my opinion, like I said, that'll be something that, you know, like I said, you've already done this self work in regards to get you to a certain point to where you're not wanting to like having to go, like I said, cut that tide off, like I said, and everything. So just like, there's no reason for you to actually backtrack by anything. If anything, it just be him, me, you, and your walk wherever you at in your life at that time, and then just finding a way to kind of like compliment him as he can and support him if you can. You know, I would hope that'll be the case, and that could just be me. Also, as a son, hoping that, man, that dad one day is going to show up. And, you know, even though, like I said, it's quote unquote too late, but still, you know, having that seeing that effort on your end, from on his end to you, do you feel like there'll be some type of emotion that you can feel like, what emotion do you feel like would be there? Like, would it be a proud? Do you feel like you would be proud that he came back? Would you be just like, you know, I'm just kind of like, I'm just getting the job done type of thing, doing what I need to do? But other than that, like, I don't have anything like in regards to like towards him that I would feel that, you know, would be there.
So I don't know. I think proud is probably extreme.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pushing it up there. Like I said,
that's kind of. I don't know if proud, but I don't know if I don't think I would just absolutely feel nothing either. I think I've gotten to a place where, you know, I have peace with the situation because I think for me, I can look back at my experience and the mother that I was, and I know without benefit of a doubt that I did everything that I could do for my son, you know, because it's real life. Like I said, I didn't experience that guilt because I know that I was involved. I was there. I was present. Like I tried my best to give my son the best life he could possibly experience to the best of my ability. So I'm not opposed to having a conversation with his father later down in life. But you know,
if that ever happens, I want to know. Like, out of my sheer curiosity, I just want to know. Like I said, if that ever happens, like I definitely want to know kind of like how that turns out. Like you said, I know you said like in regards to like things there were whenever that happened, you know, you question God. Like I said, when it rains, it pours and everything type of deal. Like, was there anything else? Like you said, or I guess, you know, you're saying there were other things going on in your life. What else in your life, I guess, what was affecting your mental state at that point?
So in regards to, well, I want to go kind of rewind about this because, you know, this is something else. I don't know why I feel like I'm just being so transparent. Cause it's a lot of things that I have not said about this experience.
You got the floor, trust me.
You know, one of the things that I battled with and I experienced a lot of emotion with was when it came down, and I told you about
I know. Like, I know some things that you didn't told me already.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep my shock face. You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Yeah. So I do want to talk about this because I know, you know, people have had different emotions about what to do with their loved ones when it can come down to making a decision in regards to the body.
Right.
To this day, I get randomly asked sometime, where's Braelyn buried? Going back to the process of making the decision of what to do with his body, I really, really struggled with that decision. What a lot of people don't know, I've never talked about this publicly, is that I ended up having my son cremated. That's not, at the time, I never felt like that's a popular conversation to have. It's not, you know, you don't really hear, if I'll be honest, you probably hear more of my Caucasian counterparts going that route than our African-American population. So when it came down to make that decision, probably like a year before my son passed away, my uncle passed away. And I remember going to his service, and it was the first time I had ever been to a memorial service where someone had actually been cremated. And I I remember leaving that day, and I telling my dad, like, man, Daddy, like, everybody just seemed to handle it so much more better. Like, we still cried and stuff like that, but you know, you go to services, like, they're gonna fall out, like, it's just gonna be a lot.
Right.
It's gonna be heavy. It wasn't like that. And so when it came down to make that decision, and I just really, everything happens for a reason. I ended up having a dream about my uncle, and it's like it was coming back to my remembrance of how I felt that day when I left his service. Still hadn't made a decision, but I knew I was kind of leaning more towards going the cremation route. And I remember during that week of preparing for it, like I ended up going to Walgreens, and I ended up running into this elderly man. I don't even know what I went to Walgreens for, but I was just in Walgreens, and I was like on the aisle, and I just broke down to crying on the aisle, like in the store, like I'm just a lot.
Yes.
And the guy, this old man, he ended up coming up to me. He was like, "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" And I just remember saying, "My son passed away. Like I gotta bury him. Like I don't know what to do." And so, I have never seen this man again in my life. But in that moment, he ended up sharing me a story of how he had lost his son like 20 years prior. And he was sharing with me how he had experienced over the years as he began to get older and he couldn't go out to the gravesite and things as much, how he began to experience so much guilt and emotion from that. And I remember this man telling me, like, "Sweet baby girl, don't do that to yourself. Like, don't tie yourself to a plot." And, you know, and I'm not here, you know, people make their decisions and stuff, but it just feels good for me to talk about this aspect because I battled so much in my mind. Like a lot of I was having nightmares and things like that and going towards that decision because something in me was making me feel like if I did this, I was hurting my baby. Like, I remember my parents' wishes are to do that. And I would get so mad at them, like, why y'all want me to do that? Like, we don't want to do that. But I ended up making the decision to go that route. But then there was so much shame that it was like this feeling of shame and embarrassment that came with that decision because I was like, you know, if people knew that I cremated my son, like they would think like, I don't know. It's like I was creating this narrative in my head.
Okay, so it was more self-inflicted shame.
Yeah, it was like a self-inflicted. Nobody was making me feel that way. So the day of my son's service, I'll be honest, I made that decision because one, I had always wanted to move away with my son. We had plans of moving away the following year. If I would have had my son buried here, I'll be honest, I probably would never I would never leave Arkansas or Tennessee. You know, I also felt like I knew me mentally and emotionally. Truthfully, I don't think I would probably be sitting here today if I would have had to watch my son being lowered into the. I think that would have been the thing that would have mentally. It would have messed me up. And then of course I was thinking about my uncle, and so I made the decision to go that route. And the day of his services, it was like you walked into the funeral home and the church, and I just wanted people to see pictures of him smiling. I had told them don't put an urn up there because I was still struggling with the fact of even being able to say, like, this is the first time I have even ever said out loud that that's what I did with the decision I made. But I struggled with that decision. I didn't want nobody to know that that's what I had did. Like I said, it was just a self-inflicted scenario that I created in my mind that if people, like, you know, because it just wasn't a popular thing
most
to
definitely.
do.
Like you said, it's definitely one of those things to where I've been in a lot of circles to where a lot of people, like I said, have at least contemplated. But like I said, it's so much of a narrative of like misconceptions. Yes. Or like I said, you know, especially people like connecting in regards to faith and whatnot. Just like they just. You know, they won't say it out loud. Like
but
you said,
you know what?
anything.
I have had people who have lost family members, you know, whether it was a child or whatever, you know, when I have shared that information with them, like I have had people say like, man, you know, I wish I would have done that, because I wish I would have made that decision, because they're experiencing what I felt like I was going to experience, like not wanting to leave because my son was buried here, like, or, feeling like, or guilt when they haven't been out there to the site or whatever as much. And I just didn't want to do that to myself. And so, but I had like nightmares. It was a mental struggle to process that. But looking back, I feel like it's the best decision that I made for me and my mental and emotional health. So
No, most definitely. And like I said, that's what it come down to and everything. Like I said, I see public speaking in your future, like I said, for being so transparent and everything. For somebody who would like struggle with this decision as well, kind of what advice or what kind of steps did you take, any certain steps, or did you reach out to other people? Because like I said, you said your parents, that's what the route they had already wanted to go as well. So did you lean to them on certain regards of support or advice in regards to like kind of get more peace with that decision that you were going through, or did you get there on your own?
I really feel like I got to that decision on my own. I think my leaning into probably other people came when I really had to begin taking necessary steps to heal through this situation. Leaning into my support system, choosing to go to therapy.
Hey, yo.
That's another. We can go there.
Go for it. I told you got the floor. Like I said, just therapy. Like I said, just going to therapy is still, like I said, one of those things that's taboo in the Black community more or less than in the Caucasian community in there as well. So like I said, just choosing to go to therapy. How did you get to that point? That was that more self as well, or did you get to someone who kept urging you, push you in that door? Because that's something I often ask people. Because like I said, people promote therapy all the time, everywhere, all the time. But like the majority, like it'd be like 2 out of 10 people who promote it, that'd be the only ones that go. So like, how did you get to the point that you actually walked through those doors?
So prior to my son passing away, I had never been to therapy before. I had never saw a counselor or anything like that. It was probably about 7 months after my son passed away that I was like, I need some help. Yeah. I felt like I was doing okay, but I felt like I was just kind of existing.
Was it just with the son, or was it just like the passing of it? Was like I said, the cremation, or was it like?
It was just a lot. It was just adapting to life. Like all I knew before was like being Braelyn's mom. Right. Now I'm trying to figure out. Okay, I got to figure out life. Like it's just adapting and adjusting to this new life and being very triggered, emotionally triggered, and trying to figure out how to process through it. Like I got to a very overwhelmed place. And so, I made the decision to go to therapy for the first time ever in life. And it's so crazy because I remember calling, like I had researched, I had found someone, and I remember calling and like, literally, no lie, I was terrified to go. I was so scared. And I was so scared to go because of like what you said, the stigma that comes with it. Right. People think, oh, if you go to therapy, you crazy. You got to and I'm like, nah, I'm not crazy, but I'm dealing with like trauma here, And if you have lived through any kind of life, you have probably dealt with some form of trauma, big T trauma, little T trauma, like, at some point. And so I made this decision to go. But like prior to my first appointment, I would call, the secretary would pick up the phone, I would hang up. Like, I was so scared, but I remember going, and shout out to my therapist, Dr. Kelly Harris.
Shout out to Dr. Kelly.
She's the GOAT.
Hey, yo, the GOAT.
She's the GOAT for real. And so I finally went, and I remember going and leaving out of there, and for the first time, and I think all of my life, like I felt like, bruh, I should have had a therapist like freaking 15 years ago. Like I felt so uplifted and empowered. Like I'm feeling like, oh yeah, like yes, I can go on. But let me rewind. Prior to going to individual counseling, I had tried group therapy through LeBonner sponsored a group therapy session where I think every first Tuesday of the month it was like grief therapy.
Gotcha.
I had tried that, and things work different from different people.
Right.
At the time, I felt like I wasn't necessarily grieving how other people were grieving. Like, I still had a sense of hope in the process. Even though it hurt, I had very bad days where I would cry, kick, scream, all of that. But I still had hope. But I tried group therapy out a couple of times. And for me, it was like I would be okay until like going there, but then sitting in the room and like hearing other people's like somber stories, I felt like, okay, I'm grieving differently than they are. I feel like if I go to therapy, I want to leave feeling like uplifted, empowered. Not that I'm going to show emotions and I may cry and all of that, but I don't want to feel worse than what so that didn't really work for me. And I ended up going to, my therapist now, and it has been the best experience. I think like going back to what I was saying just about over spiritualizing things, sometimes it takes like really just getting honest with yourself. Like, I'm dealing with XYZ, I think therapy is becoming, more talked about now. I personally think everybody should have a therapist. But I think it is thrown around really loosely.
Yeah, it's definitely getting thrown around. Like I said, a little bit more. It comes up in more conversations. Like I said, I feel like right now is a period where it's super trendy in a certain sense, if I want to use that word.
It is trendy. Yeah. But I want to say this. I love my therapist. Everybody talks about therapy. We're not very forthcoming about doing the work.
Definitely appreciate you sharing that and being somewhat vulnerable, being transparent in everything you said so far. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to get your closing thoughts of anything else you want to get off your chest and everything. And then after that, we're going to have Antonio Cash to come over here and give us some laughs. And you know what it is. Antonio Cash with the big C. You heard me. Then we'll be back. You know what it is. Moody Wuz Here.
Yo, you know what it is? The boy Moody Wuz here, and yes, I am here in Memphis, Tennessee, D901, and today I'm at 901 Whitening with the owner, Christy Lea, and she's gonna get my smile right now, because I'm a little busted and disgusted, but, she's gonna switch that up here in just a minute. Christy, can you kind of tell me what I can expect today?
Yes, so today he's gonna be getting a double cosmetic whitening treatment. We're gonna white and brighten his smile, gonna take it up a notch. He already has a amazing smile, but we're gonna make it more brighter, wider.
I like to hear right there. I'm trying to get a little brighter, a little wider, so we're gonna get this thing jumping here in just a second. So y'all stay tuned and check me out. Yeah, y'all see what it is? The boy looking good, the boy looking good, the boy looking good. I got the smile to match the dimples now. Christy done hooked me up, man. Appreciate that so much, Christy. Oh my God, don't gas me up. Don't gas me up. No, you can gas me up. You can gas me up. Man, y'all make sure y'all go and follow her. Love Christy Lea on all social media. Also 901 Whitening Bar. Make sure y'all do that. Get your smile right, because don't be out here lacking with the smile if you ain't out here lacking already. Y'all be good. Moody Wuz here. We'll see y'all next time. Hey, good job. I told you it's easy.
So without further ado, man, I'm gonna bring up the boy Antonio Cash. Get a boy a round of applause, man.
frown tonight. Put my hands on you all around tonight. We can head downtown to the street. Baby, grab some food, put you in the mood. You know you real lucky, everyone who won't get. You need a man in your life who gon' treat you right. This clock on my head, I gotta make you feel protected anytime you in my presence. Hop in this red, girl, it's 5%. Girl, lose your friend. No, you can't. No, you can't with your friend. But who you leaving with? Girl, I got money to spend. You better believe it. Better believe it. I'm at the function trying to live it up. I'm trying to see if you gon' give it up. You know I got what you want, whatever you need. Yeah. Call me when you want me. Talking early in the morning. Riding around and spending money when I pull up upon you. Got a place.
Yo. We back in the building, man, on that short break right there, man. Christy Lea, man. Shout out to Christy Lea. 901 Whitening Bar. That's a little pub real quick right there.
Yeah.
Y'all make sure y'all go see her, get that smile white,
That's
get that
right.
smile tight. You know what I mean? What it is. Christy, man, like I said, I want to thank you once again for coming in the building, just speaking with us, telling your story, being so transparent, giving us everything that I felt like we needed to hear tonight. And like I said, you did not disappoint by any means.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one more thing, and it's one thing we had already discussed about earlier this week.
Yeah.
You know, I asked you just kind of think about something in regards to just stay, whatever, finish the sentence, and you end up saying stay hopeful.
Yes.
Tell me why you picked that.
I picked that because that's the place that I'm in. So when I think about the word hopeful, it reminds me to be confident. It gives me reassurance. To be hopeful means you're optimistic about the future. Mm-hmm. I know I can't go backwards. I don't even want to go backwards. Mm-hmm. So my tunnel vision, future focus. I'm optimistic about the future. I feel like I've already experienced the worst of the worst, you know? And so for me, it's a reminder, stay hopeful. It's a reminder, like, you have that reassurance. You have confidence. Hopeful, it talks about full of promise. And I just choose, because it's a choice. You have a choice in the matter. I could choose to stay helpless. I could choose to stay sad, down, depressed. But I'm choosing to do everything opposite of that. And I only want to be around things that are in alignment with that. Because I'm choosing to believe that, yeah, my future is still so full of promise that I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking about, I think it's Romans 8:28, all things work together for the good of them that love God and according to their purpose, not just the bad things, not just all things. Right. And I believe that for myself.
I love it, man.
Let's go.
I love it, man. Y'all make some noise for Christy Lea, man. She came out here and blessed us again, man. I thank you for coming out, man. Like I said, we're finna take this last break, and we do got Antonio Cash in the building. Y'all know what it is. Moody Wuz Here on this last break. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds. I'll see y'all in a minute.
Let me tell you a story. I went out Friday night. Everything was feeling alright. I called my baby, and said I'm out to having fun. She said, all right, just as long as you beat the sun. Y'all know what, y'all? I done messed up once again, y'all. I done messed up. She won't let me in. I got to go to the liquor store and get me some cigarettes and gin. Outside, hitching a ride. I said, taxi, take me to the other side. Better yet, taxi. I said, taxi, take me to the Bent Creek. Because that's where I'm heading to meet my side piece. But I done fooled around and did it. I done messed up again. I done messed up. She won't let me in. I got to go to the liquor store and get me some cigarettes and gin. I met Mr. Jody, and he was going through the same thing. I said, come and take a ride with me, and we can buy us a half a pain.
Testing. We in here, y'all. Let's go.
Once again, y'all, I done messed up. She won't let me in. I got to go to the liquor store and get me some cigarettes and gin. Cigarettes and gin. The only thing to ease my mind. Cigarettes and gin. The only thing to make me feel fine. Cigarettes and gin. The only thing to make me feel better. Cigarettes and gin. I got to get my stuff together. Cigarettes and gin. My woman, she done put me down, yo. Cigarettes and gin. Put me out the house that Marlboro. I got to move across town. Cigarettes and gin. Oh! Please let me in. Cigarettes and gin. The only thing will calm my nerves. Cigarettes and gin.
Yeah. Moody was here, but not only Moody was here. We got Antonio Cash in the building, coming all the way from the bedroom, and it better not be mine. We got Antonio Cash with Big C.
Big C, make some noise in here, y'all. I'm happy as a mug to be back performing. Walt, you in the building. Say Moody was here. It's a special occasion tonight, you hear me? The chain back on my neck. Yeah, it was in the shop. I wasn't getting fixed, it was the pawn shop. Yeah, as soon as I get up out of here, that money going back in my pocket and up off my neck. Just for special occasions, that's why you don't see it, okay? And I'm having a little situation. This is a mental health topic, correct? Yes, sir. There is one celebrity that can be the poster boy for mental health right now. I ain't gonna say his name, y'all gonna say his name. I'm gonna describe him, I don't wanna get sued. He don't see y'all, he see me. Okay, you gonna say his name, okay? But this person smacked the hell out of somebody on national television. Who is that?
Talking about that, is it the Fresh Prince?
The Fresh Prince of Allen.
That's how we keep him getting
It
sued.
looked like he was from the Fresh Prince of Compton, wasn't it? Now look, I didn't see it. Out my phone blowing up, notifications coming. They say, man, he done smacked the hell out of Chris. So I go right on YouTube. They already got it uploaded. My homie, it was already on YouTube, already there waiting for me. Now check it out. You know what niggas do. We fast forward to right where we saw the smack. I ain't see no awards, nothing like, they said, no, it's right, something going on right there. Go back 3 seconds right there. And if you put it in did you put it in slow motion? If you put it on slow motion, y'all, when Will got up and his head got smacked, and I kept rewinding it, right? And as I kept rewinding it back, I noticed that when he smacked him, the hands went the same way. Like, I've been at the club doing the Chris Rock. They don't even know, though, okay? But it's a reason Will did this. Because what I learned in prison, did I say that out loud? They told me, don't tell people.
I think you said that out loud.
They're going to look at me different. Look, what they told you is that your first emotion ain't anger. You feel me? That first emotion ain't anger. See, they was embarrassed. He wasn't embarrassed. This nigga was laughing. He was, Chris, oh, shit. He got that look. Her embarrassment went to nigga mode. Nah, I ain't even gonna hear this shit tonight. No. And Chris had a real reaction. He had that real reaction. He was like, uh-oh. he said that shit. He was like, uh-oh. And what happened when he got slapped? After my homeboy called me, I called him back. I said, what happened afterwards? Because it's only 18 seconds. I just see that. What happened afterwards? He said, man, you ain't going to believe it. He back up front. I said, Chris back? Nah, Will Smith back up front. Chilling on the front row. I said, bro, hold up. I done been to prison twice. There wasn't no audience there. There was no cameras there. You telling me you can commit a crime and stay at the scene? He didn't go nowhere.
That's because everybody
I'm
hates
just
Chris.
gonna go. What? I'm gonna just go sit down, okay? But what is that driving motivation? I don't know what Will's driving motivation. I'm not Will. I don't have his money, but I got that anger. What is that initial emotion? And I'm gonna show y'all just like she been trans. You laughing? He was all with her. I say, I got something to say. He's like, ha ha. It's all right. You already laughing. You still laughing, man. Okay. But just like Will, the motivation is these wrinkles on my damn forehead. Why are they look? Don't look right at it. I done put cocoa butter on it. Vaseline. I go like this and put toothpaste. Ain't nothing working. I look like I'm frustrated and just worried all the time. Why are you laughing, man? All I know is I'm sneaking into my bathroom late at night because I don't want to see it. I'm about to go. I don't want to see it. I don't go to the bathroom. Whoever invented mirrors, that is an evil person. Mirrors should only be for people in heaven. For real, not for me, not mere mortals. Because I'm sneaking in late at night with my head down in the pitch black dark. I don't even want to look up. I'm turning 45 in October. Everybody else happy about their birthday. YOLO. You only live once. Every time my birthday come up, it's been another 365 days. Damn, it's been another year already. I'm 5 from 50. That is my time. I have 5 minutes. We're going to get it in. Moody was here. Cash was here too. Let's go.
Let's go, man. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is, man. The boy Antonio Cash was in the building. I don't need no mic. Maybe I do because I'm that famous. Y'all know what it is, man. Like I said, man, I appreciate y'all coming out tonight, man. Y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment, do what you do, man. Christy Lea was in the building. Antonio Cash was in the building. Of course, the maestro, the MC. Also, DJ King Vic, State's #1 DJ was here, but you know who they came to see. The one and only Moody. I'll see y'all next time. I wish I'd drop these mics, but they're too expensive.